Welcome in, everybody, to our instant reaction to Chattanooga, Alabama. The Crimson Tide getting the big 66-10 win over the Mocs on Senior Day there in Tuscaloosa. Jacob, really just a solid performance from Alabama all the way around. They get the win. Pretty easy win, really. None of Jalen Milroe was pulled after halftime. So just an easy win. They took care of business, did what they were supposed to do. Can't wait to kind of dive into the numbers a little bit and get everybody's thoughts and opinions on today's game. Jake, how you doing? What'd you think of the contest?
I'm doing great, Stacey, and this is exactly what I feel like should have happened. Alabama come out and dominated from start to finish. That's what really needed to happen in this game. We got a nice, 60 burger on the scoreboard, kind of pad stats for the committee. Um, I mean, it's just overall, I'm just really, happy with the way, especially offensively, how they played, and they come out real strong. And defense, they kind of didn't have the best game. They got over 100 yards rushing on us, which, they got a good rushing attack, but their leading rusher was not even playing for them. But overall, I'll give them a break this week just because of the competition level. But I don't feel like that's any indication on how this defense has been this whole season. We're still fine, but overall, I'm excited and I'm glad we got a big win.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the defense was fine, Jake. There was
Mm-hmm.
there was really just two series in the game where they didn't play well. Other than that,
Yeah,
it was Chattanooga to do anything. So I'll take two bad series on defense each and every week, even regardless of the opponent, because
right.
they got guys on scholarship too. But yeah, overall pretty good. I wouldn't give it an A performance from the defense, but it was a good B plus. I mean, they had 233 yards of total offense. Chattanooga did so. That's pretty solid. But offensively, they just really set the tone in this game, Jake, especially in the first half. Just marched right down the field to start the game. A lot like last week, jump up to that 21-0 lead. And after that, Jake, it was pretty much over. Milroe, efficient as he could be, 13 of 16, 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I thought both Ty Simpson and Dylan Lonergan, when they got in the game, they played really well too. And
Mm-hmm.
even Ty Simpson had the longest run for an Alabama player this season. Should have been a touchdown. And for some reason he decides to drop the ball, Jake. And I don't know, and they talked about it on the broadcast, but what is it going to take for these dudes to stop doing that?
I don't know. I mean, it happens like every game. It seems like there's one person that does that, and I don't know. I guess you get caught up in the moment. I've never been in that situation because I was an offensive lineman when I played football, so I never had a chance to run it in for a touchdown. But I guess you get caught up in the moment. And I guess you think you're in the end zone when you're really not. I'm not sure. So just you see that official in the back of the end zone, just run through the end zone, hand it to him, and then go celebrate with your teammates. But I guess when that time comes, it's just kind of hard to do that because of the emotion and the excitement going on around you.
Yeah, I mean, I was always taught when you score a touchdown, you just take the ball right to the official. And like you
Hmm.
said, then you can celebrate with your teammates. What does dropping the football there accomplish? I
Right.
mean, the official's got to have the ball anyway. Just run it there to him. And then, like you said, go celebrate with your teammates. Cost himself a touchdown there. A
Hmm.
really good lesson learned for Ty Simpson, though, who showed off some. I mean, I thought I knew he was a fast player, but Jake, that was some impressive speed, especially for the amount of yardage that he had to cover there. I mean, he never lost any speed throughout that
Yeah.
run. He was gaining speed the entire way down the field, so that was really impressive. And the way the rushing attack was able to just, especially kind of there late in the first quarter, and then through the second quarter and the rest of the game, the running attack for Alabama just kind of took over, and Chattanooga had no answer. And Alabama basically did whatever they wanted to in this game offensively. You see the receiving numbers there. Jermaine Burton gets that long 57-yard catch to start the game, or 56-yard catch to start the game, then caps off that drive with a touchdown reception. And just another big day for Burton. You saw them try to get Kendrick Law a little bit more involved, and Jalen Hell
Hmm.
as well. You see Malik Benson with 3 targets, which might be the most he's received in one single game
Yeah.
all season. And he gets
Hmm.
his first career touchdown reception for the Crimson Tide. So really liked the way they kind of distributed the football in this game. And it was all the quarterbacks. I thought they all did a good job of just taking what the defense gave them and capitalizing on that and getting the ball to the playmakers. So really good job by all the quarterbacks. The receivers stepped up and play well. And Jake, I want to talk about the running backs. We've talked about Jam Miller and Justice Haynes all season. We finally get a heavy dose of both of those players, and you see what they're capable of. That last touchdown run by Justice Haynes, just his ability to make the big play. You see that 5 carries, 42 yards with a 33-yard touchdown run. Just a really good – he's just a really good back. And the announcer said it in the game that Tommy Rees said he is just the most naturally gifted runner that they have. And I think that was on full display. Jam Miller has so much get up, Jake. It's like he finds that second level faster than what Jason Roydell do. Even though Jason Roydell are really good backs, it seems like big play potential lies more in the hands of Jam Miller and Justice Haynes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Give credit to Roydell and McClellan. They look really good in this game as well. But the future is bright with lots of Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Even Richard Young. We're starting to see him sprinkle in a little bit more as well. So the running back room is probably one of the deepest in the country. Once everybody gets experience, it's going to be very deep. And then even looking into next year, it's still going to be deep with Jim Miller and Justice Haynes taking, splitting carries. And boy, that's going to be fun to watch next year. You've been able to see some of it this year, but boy, I would say this is probably the deepest linebacker or running back room Alabama's ever had.
Yeah, and you can't forget Richard Young, Jake. I mean, another talented freshman this season who hasn't, been able to touch the ball a ton. He did get his first career touchdown today, but add him to next year's group, and you got a really good backfield, and of course you got recruits potentially coming in. Daniel Hill's a name to watch there from Mississippi. So a lot of great things to look forward to next season. But Jake, as far as this season goes, and it was a heavy topic of discussion during the game and the broadcast, and you lay out the question there in the chat with the poll: is Alabama one of the 4 best teams in the country? I think right now they are. I think at this certain point of the season, they're playing like one of the 4 best teams in the country. I think when you look at their entire body of work, the way this team has progressed and improved throughout the season, the truth is they haven't even scratched the surface offensively of how good they can be because of how Milroe is still developing as a passer and within the pocket, and how he's still trying to navigate that and find his playmakers. When all that truly comes together, look out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The committee says they want the 4 best teams. Well, somebody's going to get left out because you have a situation where you may have, 3 teams undefeated, but you're going to have maybe 5 to 6 that have 1 loss potentially, unless, a couple go down in the next couple weeks. But it's really going to get interesting. But at this point, and I know I'm wearing the Alabama scripted A, and you see all the stuff behind me that says Alabama. But at this point, I'm not trying to sound like a homer. If I was just a college football fan, it would be hard for me to not say Alabama playing like they are right now isn't one of the 4 best teams in the country.
No doubt about it. And I think anybody that even without crimson colored glasses would probably say that the way they're taking care. Jack, they've beaten 3 top 20 opponents by double digits, by 2 touchdowns or more. So I think they're just starting to play their best football, Jake. And like I said, I still think their best game is still out there. And, maybe that happens next week against Auburn. Maybe that happens in 2 weeks against Georgia in the SEC championship game. And I just feel like regardless of what happens around them, if Alabama wins out and beats Georgia in the SEC championship, I don't see how they're left out of the playoff. And that's going to be a topic to talk about here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be here to do that with you as well. But I just feel like right now, if I had to, pick yes or no, is Alabama one of the 4 best teams in the country? I say yes, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure there's any doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Stacey.
We got another question. Should Caleb Downs remain as the punt returner over Kool-Aid McKinstry, who once again had a gaffe on a punt return? And just really unfortunate for Kool-Aid because he's been such a good player for Alabama all these years, and really enjoyed watching him play. But you saw what Caleb Downs is capable of. Two returns for 90 yards and including an 85-yard touchdown, which really just kind of was – the game was over with, but that was really kind of the nail in the coffin for Alabama. And not only did he field the ball well, but he caught it with confidence, and then he had the wherewithal to take it to the house for 85 yards and a touchdown. So that's just another weapon that this Alabama team has. So I think right now you have to stick with Caleb Downs back there as your punt returner.
Yeah, man. Kool-Aid had I think his freshman year or sophomore year, he had a big return and for a touchdown, and that really is what solidified him as a punt returner. But I don't know if it's just a mental thing with him now. Once he started muffing the punts, it just got in his head, and he's trying to do too much and not take what's there. Downs, on the other hand, today he just come in and he went to the right first, and there was somebody who was going to cut him off. Well, he just spun back around and then found that hole and just accelerated through that hole for that touchdown. I was like, okay, that kind of boosts the energy level back up on the sideline. And that's something that we may need down the stretch. So, I really like McKinstry because he does have a dynamic playmaker ability as well. But Downs is at a different level right now. He's only a true freshman.
Yeah, he's that dude's just unreal. I mean, I think you can make the argument he's the best football player on the team, and he's a true freshman.
Yeah, I mean, he may be the best football player in the country, and he's just a true freshman, honestly.
I mean, if you're talking just pure football players, I'm not talking about the most athletically gifted guy. I'm just talking about the ability to play the game of football. That dude's just got it. He makes all the right plays. You see there, he's the second on the team in total tackles today, which he leads the team currently in total tackles for the season. I think he leads the team in interceptions. So, and how about Christian Story, the senior, getting interception on senior day? Big game for him. Justin Aboybe once again played well along the defensive front. And I thought, Jake, when the second unit defensively on the defensive line in the front seven got in the game there in the fourth quarter, they played really well. They were stout against the run. They didn't allow them to do anything offensively. And I was really happy to see those guys come in and play well, considering they really hadn't got to play a ton this season in mop-up duty before this game. So it was nice to see those young players get in and make plays.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We talk about building depth on this team for situations of injuries that they happen. And, thankfully, I think Robinson got hurt late in the game. I don't think it was anything major. I know there's a couple more guys who have lingering effects, but mostly this team is intact up at this point. But having a game like this where they can get in and they can get big minutes to build experience, that really helped. And for like, Renaud and stuff, guys like that, who's going to probably be starting on your defensive front next year.
Yeah, and you talk about the health of this team. I think as we kind of look forward to next week in the Iron Bowl, Jake, I think it's important that Alabama gets Deontay Lawson and Jalen Key back. That's two defensive starters, guys that have started all season long when they're healthy. Two of your better defenders. Deontay Lawson might be the best defensive player on the team. He's certainly in the conversation. So I think you need to get him back for Auburn next week down there on the Plains. For sure, get him back for the SEC championship game against Georgia here in a couple weeks. So moving forward, it's key for Alabama to get completely healthy. A guy that was able to see the field today that hadn't seen it all season long was Devontae Smith, the defensive back, who had a chance of starting this preseason for Alabama, but he got hurt in fall camp and is just now getting back healthy. But I thought he played well back there in the secondary for Alabama. So it's just like you said, getting healthy. There's not too many significant injuries. There's no season-ending injuries right now. So getting Deontay Lawson back and Jalen Key will be big for Alabama here down the final stretch of the season with just 2 games left. One regular season game remaining against Auburn, and then, of course, the SEC championship game against Georgia. So get those 2 guys healthy, and I think you got to feel good about where this team is at from a health standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about Christian Story. He had a great play today, like you said, on the interception. Getting Key back, I think, and Deontay Lawson helps in that aspect because Story at times has looked out of place defensively just because of his inexperience and all that. But once, he's starting to figure it out a little bit. But Jalen Key is a playmaker back there in the secondary. But if something happens where Key cannot go, I'm starting to get a little bit more confidence and Story can take that spot. And if he and be fine there. If he can, we know we can move Terrion Arnold at that spot and move Trey Amos at a corner position. So we have options, but I would love to get Key back in the secondary and then have a healthy Deontay Lawson as well on that defense.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get to the chat now, Jake. There's some stuff going on. Let's see here. Our running back depth is great. I would love to see Haynes more. I think we all can agree on that.
Yeah.
Tuskegee Airman wants to know, was that a targeting call? Really a targeting? That to me, that was a ticky-tack call. I don't even want to talk about targeting because I'm sick of it. Because one week it's targeting and the next week it's not, and one week it's not even a penalty at all. So you're not even roughing the passer. So I don't know what is and what's not. And obviously the officials don't either.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about that. That happened early in the ball game. Chris Braswell is going to be looking for some heads next week. So maybe that was a blessing in disguise because, we got a big game next week down in the Plains. You want somebody mad on that defense, you're going to have somebody mad next week, and that's Chris Braswell. He's looking for the ball each and every time it comes his way.
Ben Ross says the committee continues to be a laughing stock.
Yeah.
Then CW Hot says, I believe the committee is going to make the right choice. Today there's going to be CFP chaos in the Washington-Oregon State game, the Texas-Iowa State game. Right now, Michigan is winning 29-24 against Maryland with 4 minutes to go, and Maryland has the football. So, yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Tonight, Oregon State could upset Washington, and then next week they could upset Oregon. And then, there's two teams that are done. They're toast. So, you never know. And do you really trust Texas to go into Ames and beat Iowa State? I think that's a tricky game for the Longhorns, especially with the way they've played over the last few weeks. So Quinn Ewers is back this week, but we'll see. And like you said, Maryland is giving Michigan all they want. They're in, I think that game's in Maryland, I believe.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I mean, chaos could happen. I do feel like at this point, if Washington does lose a game, they're pretty much out of it. I do believe, because I mean their schedule is so soft and just the body of work. I mean, the only win they've got really is against Oregon, and then looking at Oregon at their body of work, all they have is a win against a 3-win Utah team who's getting pounced right now against Arizona. So, that those don't look good. So I said this a few weeks ago, and I kind of stand behind it. If it does come down to the last place team getting in, comes down between an SEC champion Alabama team and a Pac-12, whether it be Washington or Oregon team, their money is going to become a factor in that decision, because football is driven by money, and everything's driven by money these days. So to me, SEC is going to pour a lot more money into the committee and into football than a Pac-12 winner is. And that's just the truth about it. I hate to say that, but that's where it's going to come down to, I believe. And the SEC is going to get in over a Pac-12 team if it does come to that.
Yeah, and like you said, I think, and aside from the money aspect, once again, is it about the 4 best teams or is it not?
Right, exactly.
I mean, Jake, if Alabama plays the schedule that Oregon has played or that Washington has played, are they not undefeated too?
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Georgia would be too.
Georgia would be undefeated. I mean, if they had played Michigan's schedule that they played up to this point, would they be undefeated? Yes. Yep. I mean, Michigan's got like the 103rd ranked strength of schedule. They've played absolutely nobody.
Right.
And look, I know winning matters. You got to win. But I just don't understand why the committee is not looking at the entire body of work. Both Texas and Alabama have a stronger resume at this point in the season than Oregon does, but yet Oregon is still ranked ahead of those, and they each have 1 loss. So somebody said they trust the committee. I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
The full humans. Humans make mistakes.
Well, no, it's not mistakes, Jake. It's humans have natural things they don't like, or I mean, it's just natural. It's human nature to be that way.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think there is some. Now look how long it took them to rank Georgia number 1.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the two-time defending national champ who's played any – look, you can talk about their schedule if you want to, but all I know is when they play teams out of the SEC, they beat the ever-living crap out of them.
Right. Yep.
I mean, what they do – I mean, that national championship game last year, good grief.
Yeah, and then you're going to rank them second behind Ohio State, who has – I mean, they've won every game this year too, but they haven't looked impressive like Georgia has.
Well, and I think that's the thing. Like Alabama is one of the few teams. I think Alabama and Georgia actually are two of the teams that are starting to trend in a positive direction. I feel like they're playing their best football right now, setting up Atlanta to be, to me, basically the de facto national championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm not sure. Unless a bunch of chaos happens, I'm not sure Georgia gets in if they lose to Alabama. Alabama obviously doesn't get in if they don't beat Georgia. So
Right.
I think you're looking at a scenario where there's just one SEC team in. And, Jake, I think the winner of the Alabama-Georgia game is probably the favorite to win the national championship.
Absolutely, because both of them have played competition. Both of them have more, I guess, more moments and bigger play games than the other teams have. And that competition just drives you to be better. And this team's getting better. Both teams are getting better and peaking at the right time.
They said Georgia just scored on the first play against Tennessee. Boy, Tennessee has really just fell off the face of the earth.
Oh, Georgia just got scored on by the first play of Tennessee.
Oh, got scored on. Okay. I read that.
Well, I think the last 4 games, somebody scored on Georgia first, and then look what's happened. They've blown everybody out. So they always give up a touchdown, then they run away with it. Maybe it'd be, Maryland just got beat. That's all right. See, I mean, Maryland, I don't know how many games they won this year.
They were, I think they were 5-4 entering that game.
Okay, so I mean, that's not a big, that's not a nice win.
6-4. Yeah. No, I mean,
that's not a pretty win. I mean, you barely escaped a 4-loss team.
What would everybody be saying if last week Alabama goes up to Kentucky and wins 31-24?
Oh, they'd be like, how they ranked 8?
They would drop Alabama out of the top 10.
They would. Yep. They're not going to do that to Michigan, though.
They will not. I guarantee you they won't.
Nope. But
yeah, Ben Ross says Alabama UGA may be the game of the year. I'm on board with that. I think it is.
Absolutely. And Stacey, I want to mention 2 more things about today's game real quick. When Lonergan got in on that third down, I think it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, and he rushed. I mean, he put his head down and got that first down. I love to see that. You love to see your quarterbacks playing hard. We've seen Miro do it a lot this year, but they're not really scared to take a hit. That they're wanting to lower their heads and get in there. Of course, we do want the quarterbacks to stay healthy, but I love seeing that aggression. And the other thing is on Ty Simpson's long run, Kendrick Law was downfield just blocking his dude just into space. I mean, he had to hold his guy. He was not going to let him get by. So that's thing, we talk about. Saban loves his, wide receivers getting downfield and blocking, and this group does that really, really well.
No doubt about it. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching our instant reaction to Alabama defeating Chattanooga 66-10. Been a lot of fun to do this each and every week. One more regular season game to go next week in the Iron Bowl. Make sure you tune into that, and we will be here once again for our instant reaction here on the Bleacher Report app. So thank you to Bleacher Report for allowing us to do this. If you want more from us, just Google Tide Talk Live, and you can find us on all the major platforms, and we would certainly appreciate a subscription or follow there. But been a lot of fun. Can't wait to be back again next week. But until then, everybody, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.